Yeah, we're just waiting on some viewers to join us, and then we'll just give some brief highlights about what happened today at COP and we get some updates. Now, today was the opening of the COP conference in Dubai, right? Uh, so, for those of you who are on my feed and you're not familiar with what COP is, or you're not so connected to the community, I will just give you a brief outline of COP and its purpose. Now, COP basically stands for, is the acronym for the Conference of Parties, and it's to the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change, right? It's an international climate change summit. It's usually held annually, uh, unless the parties that are involved decide otherwise. So at COP, we have the world leaders gathered together to talk about solutions that will tackle climate change. Right now, there are about 198 parties. That'll be 197 countries plus the European Union, the convention, constituting near universal membership. Right now, COP28 UAE is taking place. As I said, it started today and it's taking place from today until the 12th of December at Expo City in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Now, today is my first time attending COP, and this is also my first time in Dubai, and it was pretty exciting for me. As you can see, I have my ID here. Uh, I'm registered under the St. Kitts Nevis delegation, so I have to give a shout out to the minister and those who facilitated that process in having us attend COP as part of the delegation. So uh, it's been quite interesting so far in Dubai. It's what I thought it would be based on what I've seen on the internet and what I've heard people say. And I really like it. I haven't been able to do much yet, but I'll be able to get out soon and discover the place. And my goal at the end of this conference is to go on a camel's back. Now, how about that? Right? I've never been on a camel's back, so that's my goal, uh, recreational goal by the time that this conference ends. Anyway, so back to COP. So the host of the 28th UN Climate Change Conference, right? Uh, this will provide a milestone opportunity for the world to come together to correct the course that we're on and to help to drive progress to keep 1.5 Celsius within reach, right? So that we can meet the goals and ambitions of the Paris Agreement. Uh, this event, it includes two zones. There's the blue zone and there is the green zone. The blue zone, that's where I spent most of my day. It's managed by the UNFCCC and it's open to accredited parties, right? Country negotiators and observer delegates, such as NGOs, IGOs, UN agencies, and stuff like that. They had the media world leaders there. The Blue Zone hosts the formal negotiation across 2 weeks of the conference and hundreds of side events. For some reason, I feel like more work gets done in those side events than in the other regular uh, plenary sessions, but that's just my opinion. In the green zone, that's managed and delivered by the COP28 UAE presidency, right? And it offers platform to non-accredited delegates, including youth groups, civil society, the private sector, indigenous groups, so that everyone can have their voices heard, which will promote dialogue and awareness about climate action, right? Now, around the COP, there are a large amount of side or fringe events that are organized or held by individuals, businesses, and organizations who haven't been able to secure their space or or be able to do so in the green or blue zones, right? Who decide to host their own spaces, right? Now these events, they're not official and they're not directly aligned with COP, right? So that basically answers those basic questions about COP and the significance of it. This is one of the largest and most important international gatherings, right? Followed closely around the world as the world's highest decision-making process on climate issues. It's expected to host over 7,000 delegates, including head of states, world leaders, all coming together to build consensus and facilitate progress on climate action among those 197 countries that I mentioned before. So today was the first day, and there were a lot of things that really flew over my head, so to speak, right? Because there was so much going on at the time. The Expo Center is such a huge place. Uh, I think I walked around I don't think I made it through the entire Expo Center in the Blue Zone. But I saw quite a lot of it. I even had a chance to visit the St. Kitts Nevis Pavilion as they were setting up for the opening tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So I'll be there. At that, I had a chance to interact uh, with people from IRENA, International Renewable Energy Agency. They're based here in Dubai. Had some fruitful discussions with them. Uh, I also ran into some uh, some friends, uh, surprisingly at the conference. I will not call the names here, but I'll just post their pictures on the Facebook page and the GSI Instagram page. So follow GSI Instagram page at GSI underscore SKN, right? And be sure to like and uh, follow our page so that you can be updated with all that's going on around GSI, right? So one of the events that I went to today was the opening ceremony, right? And at this opening ceremony, there were a number of speakers talking about climate change, about the different issues, uh, about the purpose of this COP28, the significance of it being in Dubai this year. And the president, uh, Dr. Sultan Al Jaber, I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name, he today gathered the first major milestone of COP28 in delivering a historic agreement to operationalize the fund, which will assist developing countries that are particularly vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change. This is known as the negotiations as loss and damage, right? Now, this fund was first agreed upon during COP27, which was held in Egypt. I really wanted to go to that one too, but I wasn't able to make it. Uh, and it becomes operational today, following the agreement reached by parties during the 5 transitional committee meetings that were held today. So, the fifth transitional meeting that was hosted earlier this month in Abu Dhabi was added by the COP28 presidency following the impasse reached at the fourth meeting where the parties reached a resolution. I know that's kind of hairy in there and stuff like that. But what really came out of it is that the UAE announced that it will commit $100 million to the fund, paving the way for other nations to make pledges to this critically important fund, following calls by the COP28 president in the lead up to this conference, right? He also called on nations to follow the UAE example, to immediately commit resources to fund in this ambitious multilateral act, right? So it was historic today. Uh, it was met with uh, great excitement. Uh, We believe that the funds will support billions of people, lives, livelihood that are particularly vulnerable to the effects of climate change, is what he said, right? So other countries, however, made notable commitments today, even though that was the highlight. Other countries made notable commitments that included Germany, which committed $100 million. The UK committed $40 million to the fund and $20 million for other arrangements. Japan contributed $10 million, and the US committed $17.5 million. Right. So this was the highlight today. It was uh, a great moment at the conference, and let me just break it down a little bit more for those who don't understand what this fund is about. Right. So in order for the world to meet its climate mitigation goals, this loss and damage is very important, right? Because a locked in, quote unquote, level of warming already impacts vulnerable communities that are being hit by extreme weather, such as storms. We've seen a whole set of storms, hurricanes, and stuff like that happening, particularly in the Caribbean this year, right? Also, we've seen hurricanes in the United States, unprecedented levels. We've seen a lot of floods. It reduces agricultural productivity. We have rising sea levels. So basically, this fund will help to, what should I say, mitigate the impacts of these climate events on these vulnerable communities, right? Uh, so that's great news for us in the Caribbean also, because even though we're small in size, well, not even though we are small in size, but yet we are most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. I mean, I've personally experienced many hurricanes, and we've seen the displacement. You don't have light, you don't have water, no electricity, you don't have no gas, you know, and my vision for starting GSI was basically to help communities like ours in the Caribbean be able to mitigate these impacts. We need access to water, clean water, right? We need access to electricity. We need a clean environment, right? This in turn leads to a lot of health challenges that you see people face in the highlands, especially when you're living around landfills. And then as soon as we get one fire, then it affects a whole community. You can't breathe, people who have asthma, all sorts of health problems comes as a result of these impacts of uh, having an unclean environment, right? So we want to also create jobs in our community. We think that a lot of jobs now uh, are being outsourced. And one of the problems that I've been having in the Caribbean is that we have developers coming from all over the world coming into the Caribbean. Whether they're installing solar systems, they're doing all of that stuff, but yet there's nothing on the table for locals, right? Even the small local companies, there's nothing there for them. They don't benefit in any way. The money doesn't circulate in the economy, and uh, basically it leaves us dry. So I believe that capacity building is the way to really accelerate this transition, right? And the way to help mitigate the impact of these hurricanes, these storms that we oftentimes face in the Caribbean. But that's just my opinion, you know. So all I can do is continue doing the work that we're doing and getting the word out there, educating people, teaching them about what they need to do, how to install solar systems, uh, pushing electric vehicles, something that I really believe in that will work well in the island. I was reading an article that says the cost of getting an electric and having an electric vehicle is like saving $17 per gallon in gas, or something of that nature. I can't tell you exactly the number, but I look it up and on my next. This right now is just the beginning, right? But I'm going to launch a full blown podcast. I'm going to have guests on my show, and we're going to be talking about the issues that matter to everyday people. And we're going to be talking about it in a way where everybody can understand what's going on. It's not going to be any high level, uh, policy and mechanisms and all that stuff. There will be a place for that, mind you. But I really want to talk to the people, right, who don't understand all those things, and to really break it down for them so that they can understand what it means to get solar. They can understand what all these policies mean. They can understand how it affects them, how it affects their lives, and what they can do in order to secure themselves and become more energy independent, right? So each day, today was the first day of the conference, I'm going to log on here and I'm going to give uh, my perspective and some highlights from the conference, and also, the recreational stuff that I'll try to do in Dubai. There are a lot of things here to do, but the number one thing that I want to do is go on a camel and take a picture and post it, right? That's my goal. So I'm gonna do that sometime probably next week because we just started. I gotta get everything going. Uh, I gotta get my podcast set up. Right now, the name of the podcast is the GSI Podcast, right? I want to change the name eventually to something else that's more catchy. Uh, as you can see, what I call this episode is Night Cop 28, right? You see the play on the word Night Cop, you know, like my daughter wear a little night cap to cover her hair, and she likes putting it on. I'll also get her some airtime on this podcast too, because she has a lot to say. But uh, I appreciate those who are on there, and uh, subscribe to our YouTube page. We don't have a lot of followers right now, but I want you to subscribe to it. I'm gonna post this on LinkedIn. I'm gonna post it on Facebook, and hopefully we'll get more subscriptions then. But it's all good because this is just, the beginning of something great, and we hope to continue to get the word out, share some information, share some pictures, some videos from Dubai, and and get people more involved. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all tomorrow for Night Cop 28 Part 2. I'll let you know what's going on. All right, I'm out.